You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's 24 Live Another Day After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's 24 Live Another Day After Show.
Live another day.
Live another day, yes. There we go.
Whoa.
Exciting music.
Steven,
Yeah, digging it.
Nice.
Digging it.
Oh,
Nice
yeah.
song. Welcome, AfterBuzzers. This is a brand new podcast from a very classic show that we're very excited. Been waiting and waiting for this show to come back. My name is Nando Velasquez, and welcome to the 24 Live Another Day AfterBuzz show.
Woo, 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 woo.
And with me is a group of very well-connected people. We're going to be talking a lot about 24. First of all, let me just look across from me. The first person I see is Danny Hoyt.
I feel bad going before the lady.
Oh, no,
I
that's
was going to
okay.
save her for last, because you always got to save the lady for last.
I like that. Okay, I'll go with that. I'm Danny Hoyt. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
excited to be here.
Awesome,
One of
cool.
my favorite shows of all time.
Well, now I can't go to the lady, because I just said I wasn't going to, so I'm going to have to go next to me, and that's
Hey.
Jeff Masters, everybody.
I'm Jeffrey Masters, and it's one of my favorite shows as well. Very excited, yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's just start. Oh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I am the butt of many jokes. People if you haven't seen me on other podcasts, you will learn that soon.
And
so
if
that's
you
okay. I'll take it.
haven't seen another podcast, then that voice belongs to Roxy Stryer.
Hello, again, one of my favorite shows, and I can't believe that we're back.
Yes.
I feel
Well,
like it should feel like cliche or kind of cheesy that it's back, but I'm so excited.
Yep.
And then our producer for this show is Stephen Lemieux, hanging out in the booth.
Hey guys, we were here with Justin, a new engineer as well.
Oh, and we're getting trained.
We're adding to the
apparently. We're adding to
family.
the
Welcome,
family.
Justin.
This is a historic day. Historic day. So, yeah, let's talk a little bit. I'm really excited. I first came on to AfterBuzz, and I actually did this show for the following. At this time, Mondays at 11. And the big thing about that Kevin Williamson talked about was he wanted to do a show that was just like 24. It was that memorable show that it's still being talked about and people still try to create it. And really, for me, 24 was huge. It was what turned Kiefer Sutherland from a movie star into an action TV star. It really, Fox was already on the board with very cutting edge comedies, but 24 was probably the biggest action show they ever had in the beginning, and it ended up starting out there Monday night like macho hour, because after 24 ended and Prison Break came, and of course the following was the last show that took over the slot. What do you guys what are you guys' impressions of 24?
Well, when they say that 24 changed the face of television, I think it really did. For me, it changed. You know what it changed for me? My love for binge watching a show. It changed because I love to binge watch shows, and then it came 24, and you can't miss an episode because that's all everyone talked about.
Yeah.
This was before Twitter was huge. This was before social media was really a buzz. So as soon as you got to wherever it was, I was in college at the time, but whether I got to the class, my first class the next morning, like, oh my gosh, did you see what Jack Bauer did last night? He stabbed somebody in the knee with a pen or whatever it was. It really did change how I watch television.
Yeah.
When you talk about binge watching, I did the damn thing. I did day 3.
Really?
Day 3, and I went straight through and sat on a Saturday eating popcorn and just glued to the television, watched every single one back to back to back. I remember my mom coming in being like, do you want to come eat? And I was like, I have my popcorn, Mom, get out. But it was amazing, and I really, like you're saying, it started binge watching for me pre-Netflix or any of these things where I would just sit and click next and next. This was the show.
Yeah. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, to me, it's just like the quintessential, like, suspenseful show. I remember doing other shows at AfterBuzz and just comparing it to, like, ABC Family shows, being like, this is the best show since 24. Or, like, I remember just watching 24 with my father, and then the commercial breaks would come, and I'd be like, Okay, now I can breathe because I didn't want to miss anything, and I was like so stressed out.
Well, and, I love that you guys talked about the binge watching because really this was the first show that people binge watched because it made the most sense. People actually not only binge watched, but they wanted to start binge watching on the exact time, the exact hour that the show started.
But you couldn't see. The thing is, I would try to wait until because it's 40 minutes to 42 minutes, and I would go through it, and then I would try to give myself the 20-minute break so that I could stay along with it, but I couldn't wait. I would be like, all right, let me see if I can keep myself busy for the next 20 minutes. Nope. So you can start at the hour, but I don't know if you can actually keep waiting for the top of the hour. Too hard.
Get more popcorn.
Fox,
there you go.
When Fox DVD released the box set, which I have a copy of the box set, they actually had a stunt here in LA at Hollywood and Highland where they had people binge watch all 8 seasons.
Get out of here.
And the idea was whoever stayed awake the longest to watch the whole thing won like all these prizes. I remember it was a big media event.
They should have redone that.
I can't believe that's legal. That's amazing.
No, it was, and it was a competition who could watch the longest, and I think I think they set a record. I can't remember. This was a couple of years ago. I was working on another TV show, and we were actually promoting it, and I got a bunch of box sets. I have the box set, and I've been watching this month. I just could not. Busy schedules or whatever. I haven't been able to get past season 3, but my intention is to watch the whole thing during my free time, like just rewatch everything over and again.
I have 6 boxes. The last 7 and 8 I have on. They were a gift to me, and they're on just like little miscellaneous DVDs that I have to find. But yes, I have all 8.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wait, sorry, that was binge watching all episodes of all seasons back to back.
Yes,
that's like 7 days.
No, it's not 7 days because if you watch it, because again, it's 42 minutes, so a
5
season lasts. So yeah, a season lasts about 14, 15 hours.
I wonder if anybody made it.
People did. I think they had a couple of people who made it.
How's that possible?
They made it.
And then they went to the hospital, and then Jack Bauer had to come in like resuscitate.
I fall asleep during the 2 hours a night.
I'm gonna look this up.
Don't you dare ever say that again. No.
I'm gonna look this
Was
up.
Chloe in it? I don't remember.
Okay, but this is to Jeff and Danny because I don't know if you guys know that Nando actually has more than just a box set. He has a little. Can I tell them what you have?
You have Jack Bauer on your pillowcases?
No, this is unbelievable, and he's gonna bring it in for us at one point. We hope.
Well, I gotta find it.
Okay, what is it?
Well, when 24 ended its run back in 2010, they actually, because I used to work at G4 Attack of the show. I used to book the celebrity guests on the show, and Fox sent me a commemorative piece of CTU. They tore down
a piece of CTU.
A piece of CTU. It's just a tile, but it's on this big poster
here next week.
And I'll bring it. And then I also have something else that I didn't tell you about. Some weird Japanese like version of Jack Bauer doll with ears, like some Mickey Mouse ears. It's one of those weird
Almost
things.
equally amazing.
I'll bring that.
I'll bring in my first Palm Pilot that I got because I loved when Jack Bauer used to
I have a Palm Pilot I haven't thrown out yet either.
I have 2, I think.
That's
They're like my
amazing.
dad's hand-me-downs.
And so you've seen the last season. I've seen the first 3.
Well,
and
we've
I'm
all
going
seen
through the
all
rest.
the seasons.
We've seen all the seasons, but recently, and the thing that I've noticed, first of all, I mean, the technology.
Yeah.
From season 1, I mean, obviously season 8 to now is a little more recent, but from season 1 with the Palm Pilots, things taking a little more time. Just the technology is so different than having something implanted in your skin and calling your DNA.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that. The technology is amazing in this show. But the other thing that I noticed that I thought was really, really cool, and we'll definitely do a little something on it, there were a lot of cameos from people who actually got on TV shows that were
So
bigger,
bizarre.
that big names, like Daniel Day Kim from Lost.
Paul Wesley, who's I now cover Vampire Diaries, and he's the lead on Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
So I was watching, and he's actually Kim's husband, and I was like, no way.
President Palmer.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Unbelievably huge stars.
What's his name from Breaking Bad? Now I'm forgetting. Dean Norris, I think his name is. The brother-in-law for Breaking Bad, Dean Winter. What's his name? God, somebody.
I can't remember.
know
I
it.
know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I know it, but I'll look it up. But definitely, we'll do a little thing where we'll talk about all the people who did cameos, because I'm just looking at people who have bits. Like Daniel Day Kim was like a police sergeant in like 2 or 3 episodes in season 2, and I'm like freaking out, like, oh my God, Billy Burke was a major character in season 2. He's on Revolution, if that show still survives. But
one of the leads on Once Upon a Time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you start seeing all these people, and they just had little bit parts, and you probably wouldn't remember them. But if you go back to see it, they really did start careers of a lot of people over the years.
I want to do that, and I also want to do where they have been between then and now, because some of these actors have had huge. The ones that were on the show then and now are on the show have had huge roles in the interim, which is incredible for them.
And I just remember that the bit parts. Sorry, the characters are so strong and like I just remember loving the presidents every season, like Gregory Itzen.
Oh,
I loved him.
yeah.
Well, I don't remember his like presidential name.
Or you love to hate them because some of them not so much.
Yeah, not so much. You know, before we go, we could just talk a lot more about the show before we get started. But I just want to talk about you guys. First of all, thanks so much for tuning in. This is a new show. This is going to run for the 12 episodes that are going on between May and June and July. But I also want to talk about another TV show that's really important to us here at AfterBuzz. If you know our founders, Maria Menounos and Kevin Undergaro, currently have a show on Oxygen on Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock called Chasing Maria Menounos, and it's all a look at their lives, a look at Maria's life and all the crazy stuff that she does. I mean, she's incredibly busy. Besides founding AfterBuzz, she hosts Extra, she wrestles, she dances, she does all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool because it actually is a look into AfterBuzz. They talk about one of our studios being created, Studio C, which is a studio that, if you guys watch this, you've all seen before,
Seen the different studios.
And all different things. There's a lot of us who have cameos on it because they come in different things. So if you're a fan of AfterBuzz, you got to be a fan of the show. It's incredible.
So we totally recommend you take a look at it. You definitely get to see a little bit more of the AfterBuzz, and you also get to see a look in the lives of Maria and Kevin, who really bust their asses.
You know, and I love seeing how genuine they are. Like what you see on the show, they really are like that. I mean, they were in here in real life when we got here. They were sitting in there.
In real life?
Well,
In
no, but
real
just saying,
life.
like in real life, they really are that busy, but they stop and make time to have one-on-one conversations.
Yeah.
And you know, I sat and talked to Kevin tonight, and he remembers things from, you know, so to see people that are at that level but really are genuine, I appreciate that.
And they
you know?
love TV. I mean, that's one of the reasons why they founded AfterBuzz.
Yeah.
They love what's being done here. So please take a look. It really does support this organization when you actually support that show. If you can't see it on Oxygen, if you're international, you can also get it off of iTunes or Amazon, or you can get it on demand. And speaking of iTunes, this is our first show on iTunes, and unless you're watching us streaming right now on AfterBuzz TV or catching us on YouTube when we post it a couple hours later. But please subscribe to us. Rate us. We love 5 stars. Please write. It also supports us when you are rating us and subscribing, because this is stuff we could show to publicists. This is stuff that we can show to sponsors, and it really does support the station.
Yeah, and 24 is such, you know, the fans are amazing. It has such a cult following. That's why we have it back, 24
Yes.
Live Another Day, because everybody was so obsessed with it that we got to know what you guys are thinking so that we can
And-
incorporate it in the show.
And we're hoping to get some guests during these 12 weeks, too.
We
so
are
it
gonna
kind of
get some
helps.
guests.
We are going to, you know what? We are going to get
speaking
it. Thank you for that.
We have a couple people booked. You'll be excited.
So yeah, it really does help us out when we can show people and go, look at the people checking
Look
us
at the
out.
people.
Look at the people. So yes, all right, let's get started on this. One other thing I want to mention about 24 that just made it so iconic for TV is it really did start the whole mid-season. Lost ended up picking up on it too, but it really started the let's start our season in January so we don't take any weeks off, because I
Yeah.
believe 24 never started in the fall. It was always a mid-season replacement, because they were always smart enough to know that if you lose a couple of weeks,
You lose
people
momentum.
you lose momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we
So-
usually got the 2 hours to start, 2 hours to end, or something like that.
And the season premiere, few seasons was uninterrupted commercial, but no commercial
Yes, I
breaks.
remember that.
By
Really?
Ford, yeah,
Yeah.
they actually had that, and then also just it did a lot for. I mean, especially during the President Bush years, you know, talked a lot about just the way we deal with terrorists, and it was actually used as an example a lot in the news,
Right.
as to current events. And
I
how
can't
we-
wait to bring my fresh perspective to this after a show, because I don't remember anything from the earlier seasons beyond liking it.
Well, for those of you who haven't tuned into 24 and this is your first look, that's probably as far back as we're going to go. We might mention a little bit when we get
Yeah.
into characters, but we definitely wanted to show a primer and also, I guess,
Yeah.
prove that we know some stuff about 24.
What I do you remember though is like how like defining the look of the show was from the split screens. Like
yeah.
Right.
no one's done that since that I've watched.
And of course, the iconic bump, 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 bump,
Yeah.
bump,
Yep.
bump.
So
The
just
events occur in real time.
I know, I love
We
that.
had our first split screen. I wrote it down 14 seconds into this episode. We had our first split screen. I love that.
And then we had the homeless man popping out undercover.
You were so excited about that.
I was. And then the video
Classic.
camera that rolls. Like
And Jack
we're in for a
Bauer's
good
first
time.
appearance, 3 minutes in.
3 minutes in. I
wrote
made you
that
guys
down.
You wrote
pause.
that down,
Yeah,
too.
it's first time to
Talking
see
like
his face.
15
Dressed
in.
like the Unabomber.
Yep.
So if you didn't watch the other shows and you didn't watch 24 and you want to come into this and you're a little confused, then you might want to listen to this. If you don't care about it, you know, you can skip through what happened. But just to catch us up a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
So the last time we saw Jack, He was talking to President Taylor. They were talking via telephone, and he was sitting, hands above his head, outdoors, and he was about to get shot and killed. She had ordered a hit on him, and she ended up last second changing her mind. She's watching, everybody at CTU is watching him on video camera, and she says that she has to pay for her sins. He's going to have to pay for his, but she wants to give him the chance to escape and get away. And she says, you know, maybe you should go somewhere in Europe, and kind of gives him
And she says, Jack, the Russians are coming for you.
Yeah, the Russians are coming for you, and so are we, is what she says. But she gives him the head start, and that's the last we see of him. And he kind of looks up at the camera, and we see, and you know, Chloe's standing there, and she's talking, she's crying.
God,
and-
I was crying at
Yeah,
that
of
moment. Oh
course.
my gosh.
Of course.
Such a big moment.
But I think it's so interesting that we pick up tonight, almost the first time we see him is through the camera again, and then very quickly we see him hands above the head, and I was like, wow, we haven't lost a single beat at all. We are right back here.
When he looked up and gave his like under the eyebrow look, and then gave his little grin, I was settled right back in, like I was back in 24 Jack Bauer mode.
This is
Right.
the perfect time, really, to do this show, by the way, because I don't think there's really anyone talking about Kiefer Sutherland being too old for this role, kind of like some other iconic movie characters. I don't think he seems that old or aged, you know, like a Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger every time
He
you
looked
see them in
ripped
action.
and awesome.
I know.
Like,
And he's
kicking-
running and very mobile.
Yes.
Yeah,
when he did
absolutely.
when he did that jump over the like down a flight, down one
Yeah,
level,
he
I
landed.
actually my knees hurt personally. I was like,
She was like, that's so BA.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's like so timely to have this show come back and like so enjoyable. I was like, is he gonna be like the new James Bond for TV, just like reinvented for like the modern era?
Yeah, and it is interesting because Nando, you brought up the point of during the Bush era and all of the topics that we touched upon, and now we're talking about topics that are again relevant, which is really interesting. Obviously with drones and different things, and I of course have been watching interviews, and I hear that the season gets a little more intense and a little more realistic.
well, not just that. I mean, when you look back at the seasons, like I said, I've definitely rewatched the first 3 seasons, and I'm planning on doing the other. But you go from assassination attempts to nuclear bombs in LA to a virus, you know, to all sorts of stuff. So really, drones is something that has never been talked about before, but it really is a serious threat. What would happen? We'll talk more about this, obviously, as we talk about the show. But what would happen if somebody took over the drone situation?
Yep.
You know, the U.S. drones that can just travel anywhere in the U.S. and just bomb anyone from far away. By remote
Absolutely.
control. It's an incredibly scary, preposterous. Well, now I want to say preposterous. It could possibly happen. You
Freaking
never know.
nuts.
But
That's
it
what
would
it
if it
is.
did. It'd be
Nerve-wracking.
freaking nuts. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's the new concept. The old concept, and coming back from the old 24s, is seeing that they're trying to put the blame on somebody else, and knowing 24, there's obviously some insiders working. So I'm watching this show, and I'm like, do I trust you?
Yeah.
Which one of you? Who's turning on us, you know? And I don't know. I don't, right now, I have no initial thoughts on who's the bad guy.
You know what? Anytime I watch anything now that has to do with a conspiracy or espionage, I look at everyone, and because of watching 24 and not trusting people. Like I think of, was it Guile? Was that his name back in the day? Guile.
Yeah.
People like that who I trusted him for so long, and then he turned his back, and so you thought he turned his back, and
Well,
anyways.
the big one, Nina Meyer.
Nina!
I mean, oh my gosh, that blew our minds.
Yeah, that's the biggest one right
So,
there.
anyways, that just goes to my point that I said earlier. Another way that 24 has changed how I watch.
Well,
TV
not
shows.
just that. I mean, just using season 1 as an example. I mean, we never know where the end of the day is going to end up.
Yeah.
Season 1 started off with a possible assassination attempt of President Palmer. It ended up being a vendetta by Victor Drazen against Jack Bauer and Palmer over a mission that was done like years ago that killed his wife and his son. You know, so it's just really interesting to see how things start off like a nuclear weapon, but it ends up being political intrigue. Someone trying to oust the president, for example. But which was in season 2. But anyway, yeah. Let's talk a little bit. Well, first of all, what I touched on this briefly, but I really love seeing the technology. Obviously, when 24 first came out, iPhones weren't even invented yet. It was Palm Pilots. You had to pull a stylus out and do little notes. Now you just use your finger, for example. We definitely got to see a lot more technology in this. This definitely has been updated for modern times.
I mean, are you crazy to have something implanted under your skin and push on your skin, and it goes to somebody else who then bombs or fires, whatever? How do I get one of those? Like, what black market do I have to find?
You need a Serbian gangster with you.
Yeah,
first
I
of all.
guess.
With several slashes to represent the people that he's murdered.
Should I just like put out a Craigslist ad, or I mean, honestly, starting this with that was such a mind. I can't even imagine that. You
It
know,
excites me to see what other things we're gonna see like that this
Yeah.
season. You know what I mean? If they're
Yeah.
gonna set the bar there now.
how do you even think of that? How do you think of that?
That's what I'm wondering too. Like, where do the writers come up with this? And with the cell phones, like, is there any other cell phone in the same grouping?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant. Like, either these people should actually be working for the CIA, solving crimes, or they're doing amazing research. And I'm like so curious to find out.
Well, luckily, I mean, some of the producers from 24, when they moved on, we were talking before you pointed out, was it Howard? Who's the one that's Howard Grossman?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did Homeland.
Howard
a
Gordon.
lot.
Howard
Gordon,
yeah.
excuse me. He did Homeland. A lot of the, I remember hearing a couple of TV shows. I'm sure we can do a little section on it saying, from the producers of 24 comes
Yeah.
this new show. Homeland wasn't the only one, but I think that was probably the most successful out of all the post 24 shows
Yeah.
that people could talk about. So these writers, they definitely have done their espionage research, and they've definitely, are up to date on these.
And if you watch Homeland, you see a lot of 24 in it. It is very much so inspired by this, which is
The good parts. Just kidding. I do 24. That's why I say that. So anyway, the technology's definitely there. One thing that we also see, like again, Jack Bauer ripped, Chloe O'Brien ripped.
Ripped, yeah, what?
Totally
we see her
ripped.
arms. I'm like, get it, girl.
She was stretched out like a horizontal Jesus, and her arms were like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know.
I know, crazy. I mean,
Tattoos for everybody.
Everybody's got more tattoos.
Right.
Jack's got a half of a sleeve
I
going
think
on.
He didn't have those before, right?
He had some because he didn't have like a snake for.
He did, because he actually, I read an article
Seals.
saying that he actually legitimately got tattoos for Jack Bauer, as Jack Bauer, but real life tattoos, yes.
I think it's so cool how invested he is in Jack Bauer. And when he said he was offered to pick the show back up, he was like, oh my God, I can't wait. It's
Yeah.
like being with an old friend again, which is, I love the way they kept describing that.
I mean, he loves to play him, but he also said he loves the fans' reactions to him.
Yeah, because when I look at him, even though he's been in so many things and had so much success, I'm like, Jack?
Yeah.
That's how I think of him.
He's the actor you can't separate from anybody else.
Yeah. I even though he's incredible, it's just like this.
When he did Touch, you're thinking, oh, Jack Bauer's in Touch.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And comparing Touch to 24, which just to me, 24 blows almost everything out of the water.
Yeah.
So it is hard.
Oh, absolutely.
Did you guys see Jack's tweet today?
No.
He said, hashtag 24 LAD, so 24 Live Another Day, starts tonight. For those of you who watch it, I hope you dig it. For those of you who don't, I'll see you in the bar. And I loved it. That was very like half Jack Bauer, half Kiefer Sutherland.
I
to
like
me.
that. That's pretty cool.
I really enjoyed that.
Well, he is not the only character that makes 24. He's the central character, and he's the only character that's been around since season 1. The next oldest
I forgot that
character,
Chloe,
the next oldest character is Chloe O'Brien, played by Marilyn Ricecub, who is a phenomenal actress and comedian as well. She's mainly known for doing comedies,
Yeah.
but 24 is her big action role.
She had an amazing interview with Wendy Williams this week, if everyone wants to check it out. But she was talking about her stand-up, and she's just so freaking funny, and it's so bizarre to watch her.
And to see her morph into an action, again, she's ripped, but in season 3, she was the annoying, computer person that
she drove you crazy.
Yeah, drove you crazy, and she always had a scowl. And
That's
she
part of
never
the
wanted to do
reason I fell in
anything.
love with her, though, is because she drove me crazy, and I hated her. And then I wanted to still hate her, but I couldn't because she did so many things that I love, and then I just fell in madly.
Also,
love.
she's just fascinating. Like, there's no other character, actress out there who looks like her and has her facial expressions and mannerisms, but it's, believable. It's, not a character.
Absolutely.
I mean, I love seeing this new Chloe who's a fighter, and, I mean, she's doing the Edward Snowden thing. She's dressed by Alexander McQueen or something like that. Her, flowing black.
Very goth.
Tattooed by Kat
Kendra
Von
Goth,
D.
yeah.
At the very end of season 8, we hear Jack say to her, I never would have guessed all of those years ago that you were going to be my person. Looking back, I never would have guessed that.
You're
And I
my
think it's-
person.
yeah, and it's like, it makes me so happy, and that's why I was so crushed tonight when we hear Jack say he doesn't have a friend. Chloe's your friend. Open your eyes.
He's protecting her. I'm sure he's protecting her. But I mean, if you think of some of the more memorable characters in CTU,
Tony Almeida.
Yeah, Tony
Tony
Almeida's the
Almeida.
big one, and Michelle Dressler.
Yeah.
Samwise Gamgee.
Yeah. Samwise Gamgee.
The guy from The Hobbit. One of the Hobbits.
Oh yeah. Sean Astin.
a huge fan.
I knew where you were going with that.
I knew you were going. Ryan
We have
Chappelle.
Renee Walker.
Yeah, Renee Walker. There's a bunch of
Chappelle,
people. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
But Chloe's his person.
What's the guy's name that was the assistant to the president with the red hair? He was like the security for the president. He had the red hair. Aaron. He was like Aaron something.
Davis or something. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. There's so many characters. I'm trying
He's
to
another
remember.
career who's been launched. He's all over the place. He plays that character, that high level security, military. Whatever,
I mean, remember, and he had an affair with
Yes.
Gregory Ibsen when he was the president. Was that President? Not Taylor. It was President Morgan.
The one who ended up killing.
Yeah, the one that
Yeah.
the bad one, the really
yeah,
terrible.
I'll
president.
think of it.
I'll think of it.
He was like a male version of Chloe.
We're going all over the place here,
Facial
so
expressions.
It's hard
excuse
not
us.
to because we have so many memories with the show. We got 8 seasons. I
And,
mean,
and nothing like this existed.
And the
So yeah,
movie.
we could talk about
yeah,
this
and
all
the
day.
made-for-TV movie.
Yeah, but anyway, so another character is recurring is who's back is Kim Raver's character Audrey Gaines.
Right, okay.
Audrey.
She's from season 4. She was in season 4 through season 6.
So just again to catch us up on where we left off with her, she ended up going to China to try to save Jack because Jack was kidnapped by the Chinese, and she ended up getting herself into trouble. Jack had to try to come save her. She had a mental breakdown. She completely turned into a different person, never hospitalized. Her dad was so pissed at her. Now we see that he's the president, but he was so pissed that she went. He advised her not to. And Jack wanted to be with her. He saw what she had turned into, and he decided for her own good, he couldn't.
Well, kind of like what you said before about Jack saying, I have no friends. He
Right.
ultimately realizes that he's a tortured soul and can't really connect with anyone. That's why he distances himself from Kim Bauer, from his daughter. That's why he kept himself separate, and that's why he's going solo on his own. And really, the thing about Audrey that I think is the most important thing for characters who aren't familiar is, out of all the seasons, Jack was married in season 1 to his wife Terry, who died in the closing minutes of season 1. And since then, he's had a couple of other relationships, but Audrey seems to be the one that had the biggest impact with him.
Absolutely.
She was around for 3 seasons, and it definitely was. They definitely had a relationship. And he worked under her dad, who is in this as well, and he's president of the United States right now.
Right.
And her dad didn't like him being involved with her as well, so that was part of the reason why he separated himself from Audrey.
It didn't work out with Terry or with Renee Walker because they both died. So, you know.
That's why it kind of
And
gets
that's a
in the
great
way.
reason.
No,
That's a great
It
reason.
does. It keeps you from being with somebody. So, you know, if they were going to bring a love interest back, this was obviously the way to do it.
Right.
And it wasn't that they separated because he didn't love her. It was because he loved her so much that he couldn't put her through this constantly.
Perhaps the only one that he feels like any strong feeling towards, and Chloe.
Absolutely.
But
And
that's why I
Chloe
think
has
it's
never
so,
been sexual.
Chloe's
Of course.
never been sexual, just been like a sister.
Yeah, I think it's so
That's
interesting that Audrey is back, but she's also in this very like passive role so far. You know, she's
Well, she
not in
doesn't
control,
even
she
know.
doesn't work. Yeah, she doesn't know Jack Bauer's
know.
alive.
Yeah.
Well,
It's just-
nobody knows. Yeah, that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Because
Just her husband, the chief of staff.
And chief of staff, just to simplify it, that's kind of like the executive assistant, right?
I guess
Or a
that's a
little
good
bit
way
more.
of putting it. He has a little bit more power than an executive assistant, but he definitely assists the president with all decisions. He's his confidant. I would say that's a good word for chief of staff. He's the confidant who actually has power.
the way that we've seen it on 24 is also the person that will give it to the president straight. So
Right.
I'm not sure about in actual, you know, but on 24, it's the person who will sit him down and be like, this is what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, Palmer's chief of staff was a major part too. I'll look that up.
And so was Taylor's.
Yeah, so was Taylor's. All of them had a chief of staff. So it's usually an important position. So this one, obviously, Tate Donovan, who has a very extensive, he's one of the newer characters on the show, in the series, actually. And I remember him from Friends. Like, we were talking about
Yeah.
that.
I
Tate's
remember
been
him from
around.
the OC.
And the OC.
I love the Jimmy of the OC.
Yeah, and if you've been
So-
watching
That was my guy.
Hostages,
I have not, but,
No, it's
but I know he
amazing,
was
but-
on it. I
yeah,
know he was
he's
on
in-
it.
But
He's
also
incredible, so-
Love Potion number 9 with Sandra Bullock.
sure, yep.
We know his
Right
whole
along-
resume.
But since we're talking
Let's get
about
him in there, yeah.
Since
hell
we're
yeah.
talking about Tate, let's talk about some of the new characters, and let's actually start moving into talking about tonight's episodes, because
Yeah.
they were awesome, and we've been spending about a half hour just reminiscing and putting people up to speed. But this takes place in London, which actually takes place in London. I
So
actually,
cool.
as a New Yorker, I was actually a little offended by season 8 because it took place in New York, but it really was shot in LA.
Yeah.
But this is actually in London.
And you can tell it's easy to tell that it's actually in London.
And it was really interesting because I can't remember, maybe it was you, Danny, that said this. I don't want to call you out if you weren't, but you kind of said, "Oh, that's CTU." It looked very much like CTU, but
Yeah.
it's actually because we're in London.
But
it's
it's
the
CIA
CIA.
London
Yeah.
station, yeah.
Well,
But
that
it-
actually confused me because CTU has not been mentioned, right?
Right.
No, we haven't. CTU has not been mentioned.
CTU has not been mentioned.
I say that because I'm in an era before about CPU. This has
UTIIT.
exactly. That's how I feel about it.
ICM.
But I am confused because after just getting off of season 8, I didn't think that I would think we would have a CTU.
Well, CTU
some
is
episodes of
always,
CTU.
if I remember correctly, and you rewatched season 8, which
Yeah.
I like I said, I wanted to start from the beginning, but I just couldn't catch up in time. And you saw season 8. I know CTU at various times was always being in danger of being taken
Well,
apart.
in season 8, if you guys remember,
Mm-hmm.
actually, it was blown up. Basically,
Yeah.
somebody came in and took out everything, and
It was also blown up in season 2.
Yeah, but they did a quick Band-Aid to fix all the technology.
Yeah.
But I don't know if maybe at that point they just kind of scrapped it. CTU was in danger of being shut down a couple times that
Yeah.
season because they weren't quite getting there. But it didn't end up, the show didn't end with there not being a CTU.
Right.
Well,
I get-
CTU is a domestic. Well, it's a fictional agency, but it's a
Right.
fictional agency that's supposed to be domestic. CIA
counter-terrorist.
Yes, CIA is supposed to be international. It's always international. That's why FBI is considered, as another one, considered domestic. CIA is international.
I guess
Right.
I was just confused that this is not CTU, and yet they're so familiar with Jack Bauer's face. They can spot it on the black and white camera, and they've
'Cause he's the
watched
most
his
wanted.
videos
He's
being
a terrorist.
training.
Yeah, well, he's a major enemy. He's
And
a,
I think it's an international. It was an international thing.
So he's just that high profile a person.
It's so strange because I think to myself, who could I relate him to in life? You know, like at what level is he? You know, is he somebody that we
Yeah.
could pick that we know? Because I don't know of any terrorists that are good and bad.
I don't know that somebody at that level of like a Jack Bauer in America, would we even know about him on the news?
I don't know.
That's a
But you
good
know what's
point.
well, first of all, he's
I don't
called a
know.
high-value suspect, and I mentioned this when I first saw him. When we first saw him, he kind of had that Unabomber look. He had the black
did.
hoodie on, which is definitely someone we identify in the past 10 years as an enemy of the state. more or
Yeah,
less, for his
absolutely.
manifestos.
But it's so crazy that everybody's looking at him as an enemy of the state. I'm sitting here wanting to shake them all, being like, don't you know?
It's typical 24. Someone never believes Jack Bauer, and he always has to go rogue and do all this crazy stuff.
I know.
But going back to that, what I thought was really interesting about the CIA, it was very CTU-esque.
Yeah, it was.
It looked like that, and the characters in there pretty
Even the
much
layout of their office,
had-
they had the open desk format
Yeah.
and the way people can see each
You
other. There's no
figure,
rooms.
It's like a magazine.
Offices have changed a lot in 15 years. There's standing desks now. It's just, but this looks very, very similar to the old
does.
style, and even the characters are very similar.
I think that's for the fans, though. I think that's for to give you some sense
yeah.
of familiarity. You
That
know what I
makes
mean?
sense.
Because there's little things like that. That's not going to change the narrative of the show, whether they're in offices or rooms. I think that is more for congruent. What's the word?
Consistency?
Consistency, maybe?
That's probably an easier
Congruency?
one.
Yeah, that's an easier one.
And I agree because I was so excited to see Kate calling Jordan the other computer hacker, and I was like, oh, she has her own Chloe.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but again, just because I
has
just
her own
coming
mini
off of
Chloe.
it was like very much so. If anybody remembers, because he was only in that season, it was like Arlo and Dana at that time. Like,
Yeah.
it's interesting that they are trying to do the same dynamic, same setup.
Yeah.
Everybody has their person.
So Steve Navarro is the boss who's not going to agree with everything, wants to do things by the book.
That's Benjamin Bratt.
And that's Benjamin
Yeah.
Okay.
Bratt. And then Yvonne Strahovski, who was great in Chuck, and she was also in Dexter the last couple of seasons. She's great at what she does. She's pretty much playing the Jack Bauer character in the CIA, which I thought was really interesting because she's the one that's going against the boss, and she's the one that's always right, even if no one agrees with
When
her.
she tased that security guard, it was
Yeah.
right away you're like, oh my gosh,
That's-
she
she's
is
doing-
a female Jack Bauer.
She's pulling a Bauer.
Yeah.
Just a little teaser that somebody's expressed interest on coming in and talking to us, so we might see her in studio.
I would love that.
Hey.
She's awesome. She's a total phenomenal
right.
and a babe.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Dude. So anyway,
I think I have a problem, I have to say, with the Benjamin Bratt casting because he's playing the identical character to his FBI agent in Miss
and Miss
Congeniality.
Congeniality. It's so hard.
And when he's
It's
talking
so
down to
hard.
Kate's character, I was like, oh my God, this is the moment where he's like putting the swimsuit on
I
her.
know.
Being like, go to your your office.
I know. I literally am the same thing because he is so great, and it is
Yeah, he's
exactly how we should be
fantastic.
playing it. And I'm just like, oh my God,
I
where's
want to know
Sandra?
from the
There was
fans
no-
if anybody else felt the same way as you, because that's really funny.
No, I
love
was
to
right
see it.
there.
Let us know, because there's not a thing wrong with his performance. He's
Right.
so talented. It's just his backstory.
But I bet you there's other people. You're not the only one who had that thought. I want to know if other people had. That's really funny.
They must have. I'm
love that.
with you.
Good.
But anyway, so Jack Bauer in this episode, I mean, we see him. He's getting caught by the CIA, and this is historic. In 4 years that he's disappeared for killing those Russian diplomats and being on the run from both the U.S. and the Russian governments, he finally gets caught. And Kate seems to be the only one who's suspicious about his antics because she felt that he could have gotten away.
Which makes her a mini Jack.
Yeah, which makes her a mini Jack. Doubting it, running in, trying to interrogate Jack when she's not supposed to, tasing that person that's trying to take her out. And we know a little bit of a back history about Kate that's very different than Bauer.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Is that it's her last week working there, and from what we understand, the reason why she is getting kicked out and moved stateside is because her husband got caught selling secrets to the Chinese.
And she missed it.
And
she didn't
missed
catch
see
it.
it. Yeah. Or they thought, she's saying she didn't see it, but I really
Right.
believe she missed it. Which either way, it was a fault of hers.
Yeah, and then another character that's I don't know if he's gonna have a big part to play, Eric, who was the field agent in charge of catching Jack Bauer, and I had the actor's name. It's actually really hard
It's
to
hard
pronounce.
to. I can't.
Benga Akinag.
Chuatel Ejiofor. I did it.
I'd say Benga Akinagbi.
Benga Akinag playing the.
I would say that was a really good job.
Yeah, that's a good job. He's playing the Idris
Jess was
Elba
better,
character.
but-
And I was like, it felt like a character like Idris Elba could have played.
Yeah,
too.
well, and I know this is another prediction, but that little chip that they showed on his shoulder, that little kind of chip they showed where he was pissed off, I could see him going. Something happened. They're dynamic with that. Something happening. Either he goes for the team or he goes against.
Absolutely. When I was trying to look for who could be the insider, who's the leak, who's all the. Might be him. He does have that chip on his shoulder, and I'm wondering if it's just because he doesn't trust Kate after this, or if there's ongoing beef.
Yeah, I don't know. Chip on his shoulder, yes, but I don't see him like betraying anybody or like sabotaging his country.
I don't know,
Well-
but just going off past 24, there's always one who,
Yeah.
or at least they make you think that for a while, and I think that might be his play.
That's the other thing. The writers could be planting these seeds to like distract
It's true.
us.
Absolutely.
To do this very thing.
little red herrings.
The reason that I started to think that was because Kate was on to something, and Steve would listen to her, but Eric would not, and I felt like
But then
I don't
Steve
know.
didn't either. That's the one problem I had. Steve was
true.
defending her to Eric.
That is true,
And
but
switch 10
And
minutes later.
switched 10 minutes later when
Yeah.
Kate had a different
He's like,
opinion.
"You're out today."
Yeah, you're out. Get your stuff.
and he says he was trying to protect her, though. I think he thought that the conspiracy had gone a little too far. But Eric was so quick to dismiss her that it made me think maybe he knows that she's on the right path. So
Yeah,
he
that's a good
wants.
point.
I don't actually know, but I'm just trying to get in the mind of 24 right
Yeah.
now. So I'd watch out for him.
Okay.
I'd watch out for every single character.
The
on
one to
show.
watch, Eric.
Well, there's always going to be either a mole or somebody's having a personal problem at home that all of a sudden
yeah.
gets carried into the office.
yeah.
That seems to be the two big things: a relationship issue or something. Like Benjamin, Steve's wife's starting to call and goes, "I'm going to get a divorce today," and he's like all of a sudden not paying attention to the job, and something happens.
Speaking of that, though, are we okay with the fact that we only have 12 episodes? Because how are we going to develop those problems at home and all this stuff in only 12
I personally,
episodes?
I don't need to see the problems at home. I just want to see the action stuff. I think what's really cool about being 12 episodes is that we get to skip some of that. I feel sometimes they did add a few.
You're not about the drama.
I don't mind the drama. I just think there were sometimes it just got a little out of hand and it got very cliche sometimes. Like I said, we started realizing, oh, okay, this is the part where somebody has a mental breakdown because they have a personal issue, because they have a brother that's from a mental institution who's at home, who's obviously can't handle the crisis of the
Right.
day, or again a relationship issue of some sort.
I think that Jack, though, being rogue and familyless, and everybody being in London, not America, kind of alleviates the like family closeness and like the drama that could rise.
Absolutely, but don't you think previous fans of this show are going to be thinking, where's Kim and the two kids now? How are we not going to see her?
I think that definitely is a question we want to see if she's going to return.
Absolutely.
If Tony's going to return, because Tony was, at least when we left him, I believe it was season 6 or 7, he was going back to prison. He was considered a terrorist himself.
Yeah.
Was
And
Kim the ex-wife with brown hair?
No,
Kim's
Kim's the
daughter.
daughter. Kim's the blonde daughter, girl next door, baby.
Next door, yeah.
Did his wife have brown hair?
Terry did.
Terry, but she was dead. Yeah.
I just am having flashbacks, and I think I really like that actress.
Which one, Terry?
Yeah. Was she in Keeping the Faith?
Now
She was
we've gone too far.
Now you're really going on ends.
But anyway, though, I
love that movie.
I think that, you know, they're the people who have never seen the show before who are watching and are just going to appreciate it for what it is because they're doing a great job just picking us up here.
Yeah.
But they're the people who are going to be looking for certain things. And one of the things that I'm looking for is Kim.
Oh yeah,
And she's not supposed to be. I mean, from IMDb and what, she's not supposed to be on the show. So
I'm always
She's
looking
working
for.
a lot.
I'm always looking for Kim. So Eliza Cuthbert is a
Okay,
hottie.
calm
man.
down.
Sorry, she's a hottie.
no, I mean, she's a complete and total high.
Yeah, that's her
although-
name, Alicia Cuthbert. That's
This
right.
was the
that's
first
right.
thing she ever did, right?
This was the biggest thing.
The big-
yeah,
the
this was
big
the,
thing.
the
Even
this
if
was
we
the
get like
first
a
one.
phone call,
Remember,
a
like,
Skype call.
the
And then she did the girl next door. She was
right
hot
after
in
this.
that.
Yeah.
Although to
She
be
made the
honest,
movie.
Kim was also a topic of ridicule because season 1 it made sense because she was being kidnapped and so was Terry, his wife. But season 2, that was the season where she was like a nanny
With her
and
boy-
she was
her
trying,
boyfriend.
She was trying to escape this abusive
Right.
thing, and she ended up being chased down by a cougar one season.
Yeah.
They were like one
An
episode.
actual cougar?
So-
Yeah, she
I
was
don't
like in the
remember that at
middle.
all.
She was in the middle of the wilderness escaping because there was going to be a nuclear explosion possibly in L.A. and Jack was trying to get her out, and she got in a car crash and she was out in the wilderness and there was like a bobcat or cougar following her for an episode until she got to a house. It was totally like people were
Nowadays it'd
making
be
fun of her.
a cougar, like a different kind of cougar.
A different cougar now.
Just on Kim a little bit though. So where we left off with her is she left to move to LA, and Jack was supposed to come with her, and instead he stayed for day 8.
Yeah.
So
She moved to LA to do The Girl Next Door.
exactly. That was actually
Yes, to
part
be
of
a
the
porn star. Yes, because everyone in LA is a porn star.
So I don't know, maybe a
Yes.
phone call from her, and I'll be satisfied.
You know,
Yeah.
this is such like a big event style show that they're like very much hyping, billboards everywhere in LA. I could so see them start doing like the Mad Men things of like secret guest stars that sit under the radar that nobody knows about till they pop up on screen.
And that's what I
Hopefully.
mentioned earlier. I think that's what happens with Kim. I think we see Kim at some point. It's just not on IMDb because it's supposed to be a surprise. And
Yeah.
for people like us, which there's so many 24 fans, will so appreciate that.
I would love to see her on. Like I said, I can talk an hour about how hot I think she is, but I also think because it's in London and she's not there. If they're
She's
really
in college
following the
studying
format,
abroad.
if they're really in that, yeah, she's still in college. If they're
For the
really
two
in that
kids,
format, maybe you'll see her on Skype. I really don't see
Yeah.
her in London. So,
Or maybe with the technology now, we'll see her in a hologram that comes from Jack's thumb.
but I could see if this really is something that they want to continue after this season, after this mini season, which there are rumors that this could continue.
Yeah.
I could see her coming back at
Yeah.
some point.
Absolutely.
I just don't.
I
Think
don't
she'll
see
be
why
back for
other
this one.
actors and actresses wouldn't want to.
She hasn't really
to
done
join
anything
back.
recently, so I don't know. I know she's
don't
married
know.
to a hockey player living up in Canada. I don't know if she's acting really. I
You
haven't seen
know,
her anything recently.
It's really difficult. That's my theory on why this is only 12 episodes. If you think about even show like Arrested Development, and they came back after a bit. It's so hard. These actors' careers are all taken off,
Yeah.
and you can't get their filming schedules right. You just can't do it.
That's
so
definitely part of it, but also, and actually in the chat room, I opened the chat room. I noticed Joseph Bose, a few other people talking about the 12 episode type thing, and a lot of the best shows on TV just have limited 12 episode runs or 8 episode runs. I mean, you look at
they can really focus.
You look at AMC, you look at FX,
HBO,
you look at
Showtime.
HBO, you look at all of them. They do limited runs. I mean, that comes from the BBC, who do really, really
Yeah.
great seasons in just 8 episodes. So it's completely doable.
But also it's for the writers because when you start dragging a story out for 24 episodes, like things start getting a little bit ridiculous. And I think the writers are able to pare down to just the stories they want to tell, not to worry about filling 2 more hours.
Well, while we loved the fact that there were so many different twists in the 24 seasons, I think that's one thing that, while it was good, it was a little polarizing. Some people thought there was too many changes, too many twists, and too many turns back in the day. In the 24 episodes, we'd see 3 or 4 plot changes, major plot changes in one season, and it got a little repetitive.
But that's what he did. It would do like 4 to 6 episodes following a nuke, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden they disarm the nuke, or they just move on to the next section. Next thing you know, it's something happening in the White House, or the
Right.
president gets injured. And
So do we
it's
think
a
this
coup.
entire season is going to be focused on?
No. I already know what you.
Absolutely
no,
not.
and absolutely not.
Well, let the lady talk.
know what you're
Drones?
doing.
Was it
Fair.
drones?
I don't even know what I was going to say at this point. No, it wasn't. No, I was just going to say on what we were presented with tonight, what the setup was. So that would be drones. That would be going after this Game of Thrones woman. What is
Michelle Farrelly.
Yeah,
but she plays
Margot.
Margot. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what we'll see?
Yeah, I think we have 12 episodes for that reason. I think that
agree.
we're getting the start, and that's the finish, is Jack saving the day and everybody trusting him again. And now how do we get there?
What if it's not? Let me just throw this
Margot?
out. No,
You mean what if-
No, what if it's not Jack saving the day this time?
Well,
What if it's different?
Well, then that wouldn't be 24.
It could be Kate.
it's less so that wouldn't be
She would
24.
help. She would help. But
Yes, it wouldn't be 24, but it wouldn't be live another day. You know, I think this is about like his survival and
Okay, no, but I'm going. No, I think that's a great point because they're making 24 into a massive brand, and you can't do one brand with one actor forever because they get other roles and then they die.
of course,
So
but
transitioning to Kate and then other agents eventually making 24 this world of like rotating people.
But are you saying what if he fails or what if he's the bad guy? You know what I mean? Because there's a clear difference there. Because I don't think fans would be happy about Jack being the bad guy.
No.
That's not something we could get on board with. But maybe him not succeeding and passing it down to somebody like Kate or needing her help and her taking over, that is something I could see them going for.
Interesting. By the way, I just wanted to mention Elijah Cuthbert was last in Happy Endings. Thank you, Ryan. I can never say your last name, dude, so I apologize. But thanks to Ryan over in the chat room who actually reminded me that she was actually in Happy Endings. She was one of the main cast members of that, which ended, I think, last year.
Yeah, people
Great.
love that show.
Yeah, it was a really good comedy as well. So let's talk a little bit more. Let's talk a little bit more about Chloe, because Chloe apparently she became the Edward Snowden of the
Right.
Of
Or
the
is she
show.
working for Edward
Or
Snowden?
she's working.
Yeah.
Adrian
Cross,
Cross
yeah.
is really Snowden. It looks like. So she's definitely working for this organization. She was being held as a traitor for releasing 10,000
Held and
military
tortured.
Yeah, well, held and tortured, definitely, when we saw her with all those ripped muscles, all tense from being tortured.
Sorry, what did you describe her as? Like a what dog?
She looked like a
wet
naked rat
naked
or
rat.
something.
And she was running off.
I felt really bad when we first see her. I'm like, I know as an actress you got to get down and dirty sometimes, but like this is such a huge appearance, and that's how we're seeing you first. I'm like, girl, not a good look. But she's so awesome. Everything she was doing was so incredibly believable. I just felt horrible for her. She was sitting there completely lifeless and helpless.
Yeah.
Until. Bum-ba-bum.
And again, we're not used to seeing her. I mean, she barely was out in the field during the regular season. Toward the end, she started to get out there, but she was always I don't know what I'm doing. It was always a little nerve-wracking. And here she is now, captured and out on the run
and hot
herself.
wiring cars.
And hot wiring cars. Check her out.
And I think the writers were smart to capitalize on how much everyone was obsessed with her. We want to see her out there fighting. So
yeah.
I love this.
Absolutely. So we definitely get introduced to Adrian Cross. And also, who's working with Derek Yates, apparently.
or not working with anymore.
Or not working with anymore, especially after what happened at the end of the episode.
Yep.
But Jack pretty much is on the hunt to try and find out again about this is how 24 started, about a presidential assassination. So this is why Jack came out of hiding.
So let's break this down.
Yes.
What exactly? How did Jack get a hold of the name Yates? What did Yates do?
He
that
said he picked up on some intel, and the only name that he could make off of the intel was Derek Yates.
Okay,
Right?
so-
Is that
Yes.
correct?
right?
Yeah.
So he's chasing this lead.
So he came across it, and that was enough to pull him out of hiding.
Are we mad at all at Jack for breaking Chloe out and kind of abusing their friendship so that he could go follow her? And would he have broken Chloe out if he didn't need her help?
I wasn't until when he said in the van, he said I couldn't risk her saying no, because when the Serbian gangster, whatever guy says,
Belchek.
I still think what's it, Belchek?
Belchek, yeah.
I still think you should have asked him. He said I couldn't risk her saying no. I was a little mad there. No, I'm sorry.
It's manipulative.
I wasn't mad at him there. But then when he was in there and she goes, "We're friends, Jack. You could have just asked me."
I know.
And Chloe said that, and it was after you, when we were watching the show. We all watched the show live together, and Roxy yelled out, "Oh my!" Like she felt bad for Jack when he said, "I have no friends." And then he gets in there, and Chloe says, "You could have asked me. I'm your friend, Jack." She's like, "Oh, see, you do have a friend." Then I was like, "Jack, you're a dick. You should have just asked her."
Well,
Yeah.
Jack was kind of being a dick when he
yeah.
barged in on her and with Adrian Cross and started waving his gun around and threatening people. I mean, that was a little dicky. Again, I mean, she obviously gave the explanation point to, come on, don't be a dick. You can ask me.
Yeah, but again, going back to season 8, the last time we see their relationship, Jack was really upset about the Renee Walker thing, had kind of lost it, and was asking Chloe for a lot of things. And Chloe at some point looked at him and turned her back on him a little bit and went against him. So after that, I'm sure she hasn't seen him in so long. They don't know what state each other's in, who's sane and who's not. So I'm not surprised he didn't ask her. Although if I was Chloe, I would have been pissed. But the bigger question that I'm asking is, would he have broken Chloe out regardless?
No.
No.
No, apparently not, because I think Jack, it doesn't seem like it. He probably had other opportunities to, but this was specifically to get her out, to lead her to Adrian Crosser, to give him the intel on the presidential assassination of a possible assassination of James Teller.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
James
she's only
Teller.
been tortured for 3 days, so I don't know how many opportunities he actually could have had. Right?
That's true.
It's Jack Bauer. He could have found many ways to try and get
30
in contact
seconds in.
with her. Yeah, exactly.
But if he didn't need her, he's not breaking her out. He's not breaking cover for that. And to go back to your question about did it make me angry or us angry that he didn't just ask her? No, I think that's in character.
Okay.
So yeah, so absolutely. So anyway, he's out to protect the president, which again, this is how 24 originally started, a presidential possible assassination of David Palmer, and now here we are again, starting out with a possible assassination attempt on President Heller.
And I think that aligns the fans back to Jack, because here he is. He's been betrayed by his country. They are saying, we're coming after you. You're on the run. You're not a citizen anymore. And
he's the ultimate patriot who's considered a
he's
terrorist.
still saving America.
I know. It makes me question people that we've accused of things before. I'm like, but are you really a Jack Bauer?
Was it a plant?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know about that. But,
I'm serious. Every single person, I'm like, I don't know. You hear about these people who were on death row, and then right before they're about to be executed, it's like, wait, he didn't do it. I'm like, that's Jack Bauer. But yeah, it is aligning the fans back with him. You guys are giggling at me, but I'm serious. I take this show really seriously.
I see that. I see that.
Comes into my real life all the time.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, we see that it's about a possible assassination attempt, but what it leads to is drones. He ends up looking for Derek Yates, who has this program that can take control of the drone station. That's at least the one that's out in London.
The one in Afghanistan.
In Afghanistan.
No, it's in Afghanistan, but I believe that the base itself is in England. I wrote down the.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
Gotcha.
The drone center.
Yes, I wrote it down here somewhere. Oh yeah, Lower Hayford for UK. Yeah. And,
Poor Tanner, man.
Yeah, and by the way, Tanner played by John Boyega, who I loved from Attack the Block. If you've ever seen that movie, it's an English movie. He's an English kid. He has a great American accent, like most English actors apparently do. And and he was great in that movie. I totally recommend seeing that one. I think Edgar Wright produced that one or something. But anyway.
Doesn't Yvonne also have an English accent? The
Australian accent.
Or Australian.
Australian, which is
Australian accent.
even
Australian.
more
And
attractive.
she's
totally.
attractive enough, and then when you hear the accent,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Right.
When
everybody
she was not Yvonne, I guess, but when who's the blonde girl, the other who was British, posing as Eastern European?
Oh, Simone.
Oh, that's
The prostitute one?
Yes.
Who wasn't actually a prostitute, but
Right.
she seemed it.
When you were saying like 24's trained us to watch TV shows differently, when she's watching him type and talk to Margo on the phone and like download secrets, she's like seeing everything. I said, okay, either she's gonna turn on him undercover or she's gonna be killed. 'Cause
Nice.
She
It's
knows
just,
too
you
much.
God.
did that, right? Like he's asking, and that's
And
like
It's a little bit like
sneaky.
sing-songy too. I was like,
Yeah.
is this a fake accent? Like,
I
what's
know,
happening?
I know.
And Simone's played by Emily Barrington. So very, very
Emily
attractive.
Barrington.
I loved when she took the.
Did you like her as the blonde or as the red?
I liked her as the red. I think I have a thing
her
for
as the red,
redheads.
too.
Yeah, I mean she was great as the blonde. I love the accent. Both accents were hot actually. So
Her mom's red.
and her mom's red. There you go.
Runs in the family.
Runs in the family. Michelle Farrelly, so, as some people may know, as Caitlin Stark on Game of Thrones, playing Margot.
Absolutely.
She's
Seems
had
to
a
be the
lot
big
of killer
villain.
roles.
Yeah, a lot of killer birds. Yeah,
And been killed a lot of times. So, killer roles.
absolutely.
And a female villain. We haven't had that in a while.
So cool.
So far, because we never know what's going to develop.
But she is the villain of the season. They have announced that. So we know she's in for all 12 episodes, and she's the person that's the antagonist.
Yeah, and just based on the trailer that came after, it seems like she's possibly working alone. Like there's not like a massive terrorist group behind her. So I'm interested to see
must
like
be high up,
what the like, impetus is. To that. Yeah, is she the head of it, or is she just like how is she doing this? Why?
Yeah, I believe I saw her referred to as an English national. On a nationalist. I have to double check that, but I'm sure we're going to get some more information on her in the next couple of episodes.
She also doesn't seem typically evil, and definitely thinks that her cause is just. I don't know what that cause is or why she's so angry, but it's interesting to see, you know, if you just take how we view Jack Bauer and put it on her for a second, there could be parts of her that are right.
Yeah. Also, I think they're really smart to like focus on these drones because it's such a hot button issue. That was on NPR just today, this afternoon. I was listening about things. And I think with all these computer hackers that are stealing state secrets and, stealing Target, credit card information, like breaking into every place, it's like, how possible is this?
Well, that's another reason why I think it's so great that this show is back on when it is now, because things have changed from the days of 24, and they can do a new major threat, international threat, and talk about drones. It hasn't really been approached before in 24, and they can, they can talk about stuff like this, like the Snowden stuff, and they can,
like people that
hackers,
think they're doing good.
I think hackers are like the most terrifying terrorists out there.
Yeah,
terrifying terrorists.
Well, it's hard because when you feel like your country is keeping secrets, that's not right, but releasing them is also not right, which is of course the problem that we're seeing today, and now we have Chloe O'Brien who's at the top of that, and she's the one who was working so hard for her country and now is releasing all of this, and how do we feel about that? Do we feel like she's in the wrong? Do we feel like she's just
I don't know her. I want to know her reason. Like we don't know her reason.
She says, "You don't judge me after everything I've been through."
Yeah.
I'm like, tell me what.
I mean,
I want to be her
this is not
therapist.
the kind of show.
Let's sit down and talk.
This is not the kind of show that has flashbacks like Lost or the first season. But I'm sure we'll hopefully get a little bit of a backstory. Them telling a little bit of their
What if
story.
she like took a video? She's like, "Here, watch this." I cut this out of this
while
video.
we're watching the video.
Yeah. I'm
of a
happy,
flashback.
from like on my soapbox that they picked like individual people as the villains and not like groups or like terrorists. Or
it's easier to follow when it's individual people. There was that one year when they had that country that they wouldn't really say what country it was. I think one season they did mention I think Iran, but
also I'm tired of watching TV shows and movies about like the Middle East, like just like harping on that drama. Like I don't want like America to be terrified of the Middle East in general.
Yeah,
it's like certain like groups within the Middle East, and like that's where they are.
Absolutely.
So I'm just like
it's
happy
not a
that it's,
region,
like,
it's people. Yeah,
it's not like a group. It's not.
I would hate to end this without really touching base, really talking a little bit more about President Heller and of course the Chief of Staff Mark Bordeaux. And even Audrey a little bit, because Audrey's married now. She's not Audrey Raines anymore. She's Audrey Brodeur. But I think what's really, really interesting, because we know, even though it was a very minor story these first 2 hours today, we know based on past seasons of 24 that the president's really going to be involved, and there's definitely going to be a lot of scenes involving possibly his chief of staff or some other politicians, some plot around them. And I think the most telling thing that we need to talk about with Heller is that he seems to be suffering from acute Alzheimer's that apparently, according to the doctors, symptoms shouldn't be showing for another year.
Well, we haven't put a name on it yet. So you just named it that.
We're assuming that.
It's memory loss.
We are assuming that, but I don't know, because I think that is something that can develop more rapidly. I was wondering if maybe some sort of brain tumor was more accurate.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what it is.
That's a good point. It could be something different.
Yeah.
And based on previous seasons of 24, when something's up with the president, it could be the smallest little thing. It could be like an affair. He had somebody related to the president having a problem, that his presidency is always at stake and is always someone trying to get him out of office or take control.
Right,
So
absolutely.
Who would that be here?
It could be Tate Donovan. It could be his chief of staff for all we know.
Well, all the breadcrumbs are there leading for Tate Donovan to have to tell somebody.
Right. So I watched last night. There was a 30-minute what you need to know about watching this, and there was an interview with Tate Donovan who said, I haven't read everything yet, so I don't know when it was filmed, but he said, I haven't read everything yet, but from what I know as of thus far, I am a good guy. So that's...
I don't want to know how far that is.
We don't know, but he was saying something along those...
They're still shooting?
No. This was obviously filmed before when it was recorded. So he was... So it must have been past this or maybe this episode, I don't know.
So do you really believe that that Mark Brodeur is a good guy?
I think that he happens to be. I think he is so cautious about Jack Bauer based on he thinks Jack Bauer did this to the love of his life.
Yeah.
And so
he's being protective, as any guy would.
I don't think that he is the guy who got in with this family to take them down.
Okay.
No, I don't think he's that.
I think it's definitely a red herring to think that he is possibly a villain here. I think he's also very protective of his wife and knows about her past with Jack Bauer. So
Which
Mark
is
Ruddell
unfortunate.
wants to protect. That's his interest, and that's why he doesn't want anyone knowing about Jack Bauer when he's notified by Steve Navarro.
Right.
I just feel like he's going to become that classic character who has great intentions and is just going to like mess things up.
Right. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
it's a bummer because I don't blame him right now, but I hate anybody who hates Jack. So he's on my poop list. Like,
And like as fans, aren't we waiting to see Audrey and Jack reunite?
Of course. And oh my gosh, you flipped.
There was that
you missed
little-
rewind it. There's a little teaser at the very
oh
end.
yeah, yeah. Well, because I thought that he was with Kate, but he was with
Forehead to
Audrey.
forehead, and
Yeah.
it's a split second, not
Yeah.
even a full second.
I'm surprised we didn't see a kiss. Does that mean there isn't a kiss?
She's married. I mean, it could still
we
happen.
don't
I'm
want
just
her to
saying.
cheat.
We don't
No,
want
no,
to
no,
assume
nobody likes
that
a
right
cheater.
away.
But that's true. Okay, nobody likes a cheater, and I don't want her to cheat. But
Jack goes
I
against
want
the
her to be
rules.
with
but he
Jack. So
does
what
it-
do I want?
Jack goes against the rules, but he does it for the sake of his country.
Maybe
does
in-
There's a gun to his head and says, "Kiss
Kiss
her
her.
right now."
I need her in the 11th hour to end things, or like maybe Mark to die or something.
Well,
No,
maybe
I-
Mark's a villain, and then she ends up kissing Jack.
yeah,
and
then you
maybe
can
that
cheat
happen.
if your husband is a terrorist.
Yeah,
I think.
Then I think you're allowed to cheat.
Maybe.
Every hero in every movie, though, has like the mistress he's in love with, and he tells them they can't be together because they're gonna end up killing her to like get to him. And I think Jack's the only one who's been successful and like not letting a woman like get to him, though.
Yeah.
After a couple trial and errors.
I'm surprised Jack's ever loved anybody ever. You know, like when you look at the way he talks, he's so
Well-
guarded. If you can get through to Jack, if I was at a bar and got through to Jack, I'd be like,
I mean,
win.
it all goes back to season 1 when his daughter and his wife were taken, kidnapped, and he
Absolutely.
was put to trying to assassinate President Palmer. I mean, it always goes back there, and that's usually why he keeps people away from him at arm's length. So.
show.
You just have this weird face on. I'm just wondering what.
I think we had a FaceTime coming.
No,
in.
my computer was going crazy there
Oh,
for a
okay.
second.
The one thing
I
I
had to shut it down.
the one thing I kind of want to mention, which I thought was funny, was that the way that we found out that President Heller may have Alzheimer's or may have some kind of disease that debilitates him,
Right.
is that he confused President Teddy Roosevelt with FDR.
Franklin, yeah.
And I think I actually was, if we had time, I
Story
was
of
gonna,
my life,
I was
man.
gonna pull up a bunch of questions and have you guys guess: was this FDR or is this Teddy Roosevelt? To see
Let's
which
do it,
one
I'm
of you ready?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I just read a book called FDR and the Jews.
Okay, all right. All right.
Jews.
Which
Yeah.
president actually was in charge of creating the Museum of Natural History in New York?
I know.
Teddy.
Teddy.
What do you say?
It's Franklin.
Okay, you have a disease. You guys are okay.
Okay.
Danny,
Yeah.
you might have a year to live. I'm not sure.
Dang it.
Your
All right.
brain is totally gone.
So now you
there we
can't
go.
run the conference and go apologize to anybody.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. Sorry,
Okay,
man.
next week we should play Grover Cleveland or Abraham Lincoln.
Relevant.
Cleveland
We'll
from
just
Family
do
Guy.
that.
Wait, what do you guys
Or
think
the-
that
or the city.
was Mark too hard on President Heller in this moment, or was he
No.
doing what he had to do?
As chief of staff, no, he's
That's his job.
Yeah, chief of staff
but
is his job.
as the husband of the president's daughter,
Even more so, it's out of love. But the part I did feel for Heller when he turned around and he just said, "I have some work to do," and that kind of face he made.
it was more how he got it the second later, and he said the
And
names, has
he
3
said it
kids,
with
and
his back
was
to
so
him.
mad at himself.
But
I just, sorry, no.
Well, I think it's a combo of like it's his job and he's doing it because he cares. He doesn't want to see him get out in the public and have that moment in the spotlight. He wants
Yeah.
to, if it's going to happen, have him behind closed doors.
I think that Mark has the clock going, watching vigilantly President Heller saying, when is this going to get to the point where he will have to step down or I will have to make it a public thing?
it needs
Yeah.
to be. I thought that maybe they were going to be able to keep it abstract what was going on, but I think we need to be explicitly told what is happening with Heller,
We will.
so we know.
There's a
how-
reason they didn't tell us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
To keep us watching and keep us guessing about it. But I need to know so that I can know whether Mark is being a little too dramatic about it or whether it's. Do we think right now that it's only Mark and Kate that not Mark and Kate, Mark and Audrey that know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't think he's being too dramatic about it. It's like the president of the United States. I think that's an important job.
And don't forget, they're overseas. They're overseas right now too, so it's probably more reason for him to be extra protective of the president because it could be an international incident involved.
That's why I don't think he's a bad guy because he could have leaked that.
Yeah.
But then his cover would be
yeah.
blown.
But also right now it's like small details. like 2s and 3s and 4s, TDRs and FDRs and TBDs.
But that's not a small detail when you're addressing a group of people who just lost somebody. 3 to 4 is a huge deal.
But but I guess like details, not as opposed to like being able to make decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I am happy though that they said it multiple times in tonight's episode for fans for people who didn't used to watch. We know these to be good people.
Yeah.
At least we know that, that the Hellers are good.
Yeah.
So
and they're dealing with a
we can
crisis,
get on that team.
and they are dealing with a crisis. It's not just about the president's possible disease right now. Also, it's about the drone attack that happened to their own military. Somewhat friendly fire. I mean, obviously somebody else took control of a drone
Damn it,
and
Nando.
shot their own people. So, damn it. How many times did he say damn it? You were counting like 3 times?
Yeah.
It was a bigger deal when Audrey
Also,
says it, and I was
Audrey
like,
got
oh, that's
one,
where
yeah.
she learned it.
Oh, yeah.
It was 2, and then
And then Audrey did the third one. So, yeah, that's something we're going to keep a calculation on.
There's been like a movement around there. Like, see T-shirts come across my Twitter feed and things like that. Like, people
We gotta
yeah.
get it. My birthday's in July, guys.
There you go.
And
That's
did you
good to know.
read too that he had just said it like out of like improv during one scene, and they kept it in, and it became like the biggest thing.
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was
That's
never scripted.
awesome.
That's awesome.
I
That's
did not know
awesome.
that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Jack was on the cover of Entertainment Weekly, so I read that.
There you go. Yes, exactly. That was from a couple of weeks ago. So right now where we're leaving it off is, President Heller has this possible international incident because 2 of the 4 people that were killed in the attack on the military from the drone were British intelligence officers, and then also that the item that Derek Yates had to take control of the drones right now is in possession of Simone, who is Margot's daughter. It seems like they have
Right.
a very good
Come home to
familiar.
mommy.
Come home to mommy.
Come home to mommy.
Yeah. So this terrorist actually, this villain does not have it yet, but she is pretty much about to have
on
it.
its way.
It's on its way.
This is the part that always kind of lost me on 24 because this isn't how my brain exactly works. But what exactly was Heller doing with the prime minister that they were in agreement to do? What that was about to get messed up because of this drone? Do you guys understand my question? Did I?
He was gonna because they were gonna put a drone operating station in.
They're talking about the base because remember the protests
yeah.
going on.
So the prime minister was agreeing to that and now doesn't know because of this drone issue.
It was all, yeah. So it's just
Well,
basic politics, but the incident obviously is going to put a kibosh on any of that right now.
Well, we probably. That's what it looks. I mean, he just turned around and walked out of the
Yeah.
room.
And then Jack and Chloe are on the hunt to try and find David Yates. They don't know he's dead yet. And to
Derek,
find
yeah.
someone, Derek Yates. And I believe Kate is on the hunt to try and find Jack. So really interesting. I can't
There's
wait
a
to
lot
see.
of hunts happening.
I can't wait to see. I really do. Well,
So
you know
many
what?
hunts.
I'll save that for predictions, which we're almost up to.
I know, but
what
the fact that we just skipped over the actual murder scene of Yates.
Oh, yeah.
Holy
I mean, come
smokes.
on, man. First
In
of
the
all,
ear.
that girl was badass, and you go stab
Well,
him.
That's
She
a
was
lot
badass.
of force to drag it down.
She jumped.
We've
You
seen
jumped.
deaths a lot of ways. I felt bad for you because I was sitting next to you and my nails in your leg. I'm like, ugh. Like,
Wow.
It was, ugh.
You
Like,
jumped a few times this season.
Yeah, I'm a little jumpy.
Here's
I
my
noticed that.
here's my only thing about the murder scene. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Turned you on a little too much?
No, this is why Derek's an idiot. Let me just tell you.
Oh,
okay?
he was an idiot. I was saying
Yeah,
that
but let me
before.
tell you in this situation specifically why he's an
Okay.
idiot.
Okay.
He's at the urinal. He turns around because he hears the door open. She's standing there. He says, they have a little banter. You're crazy, whatever. She says, I just want you. He turns back around to finish peeing at the urinal. That's what gave her the opportunity to come behind his back and flip out the switchblade and stab him. Why would you turn back around to the urinal and continue on with your urination?
He's as bad. Well, not even that. He put the box with the device
mad.
by the mirror and then walks like 6 feet away and takes a piss
Derek,
with
what are
his
you
back
doing?
to her.
Stupidity was not just like having sex with his girlfriend there. That
mean,
was
no,
the dumb part,
that
or
would've
was
been-
the dumb part turning
He
his
turned
back?
on
There's
her.
something to be said about public places. It can be. I mean, that seemed a little
He
like
made
a
it
dirty
sound like she's
bathroom.
done it before, so
Yeah,
I guess
like
he's
it was
cool
their
with
thing.
it.
So whatever.
Yeah, I wonder how long she was playing along with this. That's like some
Well,
Well, she was
serious-
hot. She was hot both as a blonde and with the Russian accent and as a
Did that answer
redhead.
how long she
Oh.
was playing along with it?
I
And
don't
he didn't
know.
notice she had
Didn't
a
answer.
wig?
I do want to say something else about that scene.
That's a great point.
That is a
you
great
go.
point.
Assuming they slept together, like how does she keep that on?
Yeah.
She was a prostitute.
And then she could
Hold
easily
on.
take it off.
I did notice something. I want to see if you guys noticed this. I wrote this down. When she gets up to go to the bathroom, they cut to the bartender. Did you notice this?
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
did
They
notice
cut to the
that.
bartender. So when they find him dead and whatever, this bartender, I wonder wonder if the bartender is going to be the one to share, like, oh, there was a girl, she was blonde hair.
They checked the
it's a
footage,
nice
it's a
setup.
redhead.
Yeah.
So I
You're
knew
wicked smart.
It was
Yeah.
a wicked
doing
smart.
predictions?
Yeah.
Wicked
I
smart.
just noticed that cut, and I
Oh.
wonder if that was going to be, you know, a little
Yeah,
That's a great
that was a
flash.
good segue into predictions, I will say.
All right, so then let's, I think we've just about talked about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
it's a little hard to cover 8 seasons and the first 2 episodes in the hour we had, so I don't know if
We
we
did
covered
pretty
it.
good.
We did pretty good. I think we got a lot, and
I think
hopefully we didn't
so.
bore
Yeah.
you
We
guys
got
talking
everything.
about history. But this is really an iconic show, and I really want to do it justice for this first show.
You know, I would have loved to have everybody that's listening and watching
I
sit in a
actually-
room and do this with everybody, because we could do this for hours.
Well,
talked-
that's what the chat roll's for.
I
BYO's chair.
talked about this with Roxy, and I mean, look, I'm crazy enough to do it, but I have no problem going back and watching seasons and maybe talking a little bit about a season, like season by season, like within the show or something. But
I
we could
won't, I
talk
have a
about
life.
that. Yeah, I know. Well, a season, like I said, is about 15 hours. If you see it within a week, it's possibly doable if you have a little bit of free time.
Guys, this Saturday, my place, we can do a
There
binge.
we go. Well, you know what? Let us know what you guys think. If you guys like the fact that we're talking about past seasons, we might want to bring it up a little bit more. Maybe do a small section where we can talk about stuff. I really like talking about like some of the past people who have been on the show. Like I
Yeah.
said, like the really interesting characters that are now on other TV shows.
That's cool. We'll play it by them, you know?
Stuff like that, or talk about the past presidents. I mean, Palmer's the first one. We have Taylor. We have a bunch of characters.
Horrible one in between there. I can't
And I think that'd be really fun to do. The show, though, I think was really smart about making it about this season and not like tying storylines like that we can't control.
Well, it needed to be independent for a lot of the fans
Absolutely.
that missed out on the
been
first
4
time
years.
around.
Now
were
they
like,
wanna get in on it.
Shoot, I want to get in on this. Yeah, it needed to be enough of
Yeah.
an independent.
So let us know right on YouTube, right on iTunes. Let us know what you guys think. If you want, we'll definitely touch base a little bit more.
Tweet us.
We'll save it maybe toward the end of of one of our shows so that you're not lost completely from the beginning. But we'll definitely look into that.
And we're gonna start killing hosts off too. So who should we do first?
Yeah, there
one
we
of us
go.
is actually a mole.
And one of us is a mole. Try and figure out
and
which
you guys
one
have
is
to
And
guess.
Roxy has 2 on her face.
Yes.
The only one that you can see from this angle. Oh my God, why'd you tell him?
Oh God.
so
Okay,
funny.
so we were heard the prediction thing. So let's go into predictions. How about that? Who's got one?
I predict we'll get a seed by next week. Just
Okay.
kidding.
That's how they're getting
I
us out of
think
here.
that Simone, the blonde, is that her character name or real name?
That's the character name.
Fantastic. I think Simone will not make it to the end of the season.
the red-haired
Yeah.
chick.
Yeah, I agree with that.
think she's
IMDb
out.
would agree with you, I think.
IMDb would
really?
agree. Yeah, I noticed that.
You know what?
Sorry,
I promised
spoiler. Oh my
myself
God,
I
we get
wouldn't
shot.
check that for this show because I want to be surprised.
But that doesn't mean anything. That actually
That
doesn't
is
mean
true.
anything.
That it just means that
It doesn't
they
mean
might
someone
not have
dies.
updated
It just means, yeah.
Yeah. I just hate being like, oh, this person's only in one more episode. How is she gonna die?
Okay. Any of you guys?
I don't know. I'm predicting this. This is way. I don't even know if I can follow this one, but I think that maybe the president, as I said, something has more to do with like a brain tumor. Maybe we need an emergency operation on something, and somebody tries to take him out that way.
Yeah, I can see something like that. What do you think, Danny?
I don't have anything major like that because it's grasping for me right now. I think minor things like I think we will see Kim, whether it's in a Skype thing or she is
I hope
somebody.
so.
Yeah, me
They have
We know you
part
do,
of
Nando.
part of their terrorist network is in the United States with her, and they reach her to get Jack to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's little things like that. I couldn't grasp for a storyline because it
You
could
had a
literally
great
go
prediction while we were talking though, and I can't not remember now.
Just about the bartender.
Yes.
Oh.
I think that's
Well, just that's a small
great.
one.
You
but
mean
they're gonna-
literally 5 seconds ago? Yeah, it was a good one.
Take the compliment.
Totally.
I think based on past seasons, I think that definitely President Heller's presidency is going to be at risk. That his disease is going to come out, and someone's going to maybe the emergency surgery, but maybe someone's just going to try and say he's not capable of making decisions,
Right.
and they're going to pull, they're going to pull out their rule book and maybe have a vice president or somebody else.
Well,
take
and
over.
on that
yeah.
point, that is something I thought during the show, and they didn't show a vice president. We don't know who the vice president is. We don't know if
Doesn't
that person
mean-
is good or bad, or if they even are going to exist in the show.
Yeah.
However, in the event that he does have to have surgery or something happens, this person could be a huge role in the show that we don't even know about yet.
Maybe
in
it's
the
Julie
second
Louis
half.
Dreyfus.
And I'm gonna say Kim Bauer's not gonna return, but I'm gonna say Tony Almeida. I would love to see Tony
yeah.
Almeida come back.
Okay.
Agree with you.
See
Awesome.
Carlos Bernard. That would be really awesome if he came back too. So those are my two
But
predictions.
I want to see him come in as Carlos Bernard. I don't care about Tony.
You don't care about Tony Almeida?
I'm kidding. I would love to see that. Maybe more than Kim.
I'm gonna say that Eric's a mole. I'm gonna say that he is.
Eric's the mole.
I can jump on that one too.
Okay.
I'm not jumping on the bandwagon.
I'm not jumping on that bandwagon either.
we can
I'm gonna
have
say
fun
there's
on
no
our
mole.
bandwagon,
I'm gonna
then,
say there's no
whatever.
mole.
No mole.
I'm gonna say there's no mole. Just the ones in your face. Just that's it.
Guys.
You said you were the butt of
It
jokes.
is true. Yeah, I set myself up for it.
Okay.
I'll take it.
Okay. Well, on that note, Roxy, where
On the mole note.
On the mole note, where can we find you and your moles?
You can find me and my moles everywhere at Roxy Stryer.
Danny, where can we find
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Vine and everything at Danny Hoyt, Hoyt.
Jeffrey, where can we find
And I'm
you?
at Jeff Masters 1.
And you can find me on Twitter at Nandovel, Nandovel. And you can see all of us here on various shows here on AfterBuzz doing a wide variety, reality, drama, comedies, you name it. You name it. But for next Monday at, I believe we're going to be doing at 10 o'clock Pacific time, you can find us here for the next episode of 24 Live Another Day. See you guys then.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Another day.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.